What was your favorite season of Fortnite and why was it your favorite season? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels and welcome back to the reply room, everybody, where I ask a question. And this time what I asked was, what was your favorite Fortnite season? Tell me in detail what made you love it. And today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the community replies. If you are new here, guys, this is the series on the channel where I post a statement, question, I take your replies, I make them into a video, I read them, and I give my own reaction to what you wrote. So guys, if you are interested, pin comment, description down below. We would love to have you in the Discord server. Let's get into the video for today, everybody. Chapter 3, Season 1. Updates and good map changes. We got a great Grotto 2.0 POI, the return of the full tilted towers and IO outposts around the map, setting up for the season. I also loved the addition of Clombos. Very well said, all of that. The Battle Pass was a pretty good Battle Pass. Some of the skins that we saw in the Battle Pass didn't really match the theme of the new chapter, but we still got some cool skins like the Foundation and Spider-Man. Again, couldn't agree more. Loot pool, it was decent. The Striker Pump Shotgun was a pretty big downgrade from the Pump, with its fire rate being very slow and having lower damage against opponents. But undeniably, the best weapon of the entire season was the MK7 Assault Rifle. It was so overpowered and I was all for it. W. It was the first introduction of first-person mode and I think lots loved it. The Stinger SMG had great accuracy and it was also pretty OP. Spider-Man mythics were also amazing. My favorite mythic of all time and will be one of the best for what it was. I couldn't agree more, although I will say I did like the Striker Pump Shotgun. I did like that. It was very, very well balanced. And I think like the hate for it kind of went away as the chapter went on. Anyways, over level 100, I love the other styles for the skins, especially Spider-Man's. The yellow style was so great with them. Spider-Man had some fantastic styles. Lore, pretty unique build up to the next season's theme with the voice lines and IO outposts around the island and Covert Cavern. Well done. Chapter 3 Season 1 as a whole, I think the season overall was a great fresh start to the chapter with the beginning cinematic, great map, great additions, and if you take out the nostalgia from Chapter 1, I personally think Chapter 3 was the best chapter that we got. That was all very well said, and I feel like that'll be the theme of this video for today, is I won't be adding too much to what everybody says, but honestly, Chapter 3 Season 1 especially is an absolute S tier season. I'd have to think about it. Could be potentially a top 5 season. Everything about it was perfect. This is very well said. Chapter 2 Season 6. I loved the crafting system. Locations were awesome except Boney. Battle Pass was nice. I enjoyed the collabs. Neymar looked cool. The Spire height was awesome and I would love to see a futuristic version of it. The mini Spires had awesome mobility. Autumn colors looked really cool. I loved it when wolves would come out of nowhere and attack me. It was an awesome event with an awesome soundtrack. You could replay the event as well. I lied. This is one of my least favorite seasons. I think it would have benefited greatly if I had a cowboy theme instead of keeping the old desert, adding new locations. This was also a match Season 6's OG theme. PS, everything I put down I actually did like about. You had me, man. I was about to say, wow, what an unpopular opinion. I completely agree with this, except like the crafting system needed work. But other than that, I agree, man. Even the Spire's height, but still, that was funny. That was funny. Oh, we got another Chapter 3 Season 1, eh? We got many new amazing locations and also some old locations. The diversity in POIs were great, like an IO base in a mountain to a lumberyard or a volcano room with a daily bugle inside, but also the biomes. The biomes were perfect. The map was just amazing. Loot pool. I don't know why, but I love the meta. Many people complained about the spray meta, but for me it was just fine, and either way they changed the shotguns and made them better for a few days after the season release. Oh, and don't forget about the best mobility item, the web shooters. The battle pass was a solid 10. We literally had Spider-Man, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and literally a gumball machine. Haven styles were also really customizable, and don't forget the rest in peace of Miles Morales and the rest in peace of Miles Morales. Oh yes, that's right. Sorry, my apologies. The lore with the map flipping was so perfect. Like, honestly, who would have just sat down and thought the map would flip, revealing a better version of the Chapter 1 map? Well, before the leaks at least. And then when the IO drilled to the map, creating sinkholes and also a lead up to the best war season yet. It was perfect. Rip Guzzle Juice, gone too soon. I completely agree with the Guzzle Juice, by the way. Fantastic, fantastic item. But guys, again, very well said. Chapter 3 Season 1 was absolutely incredible. Chapter 2 Season 2. 5 new name locations, which I have not seen yet in Chapter 4. Battle Pass for starters. The skin actually matched the theme of the season, which we don't see in some other Battle Passes. The lore was fantastic. Midas created a fake war on the island just so him and Jules could keep working on the device. The loot pool was truly good, the weapons, the healing items were perfect. Level 101 plus, as you progress your level, the skins would turn to gold. I find this a really unique feature in the battle pass, for which Fortnite reminded me, why don't they do this feature in Chapter 3 Season 4 but just chromed? Very, very true. The event had one of the best music in Fortnite history. Midas did try to break the loop somehow by stopping the storm from moving, but manages to fail. I think that's the event lore. And Hench Bros, can't forget these two bros, carries the storyline for a bit. The best thing I always say, Chapter 2 Season 2 was one of the greatest seasons of all time. The storyline was perfect, the loot pool was great, map changes, the battle pass, there's nothing like the battle pass. Like, I loved everything about it. Very, very well said as usual. Chapter 1 Season 8, 3 unique biomes, the jungle, the ice, and the desert. You had Lazy Lagoon, Pleasant Park, Paradise Palms, and like, you're right, all these great POIs coexisting. You had a great loot pool, pirate cannons, ballers, and drift boards in a single season makes for great mobility, new reboot vans, and that's something that people don't talk about enough when it comes to a brand new season, right? Great, like talking about when Chapter 1 Season 8 being a good season. Great event where we got to choose something to unvault, sadly wasted on the drum gun, but it was a crazy concept, and we were all really surprised when Tilted and Retail were destroyed. Map changes were peak and had constant community moments with the flying ruin things around the map and different excavations going on. The small storyline of the Stone family was so cute. Chapter 1 Season 8, also potentially a top 5 season. It was great. You're like you said, I feel bad because I'm not essentially adding too much to all of this because I keep saying it's all well said. It's very interesting to see everybody's different perspectives on why their favorite season is. I wonder if we're going to see more Chapter 3 Season 1s. Oh, Chapter 3 Season 3? Really? If you're okay, I'm gonna read the bottom of it. Okay, so it doesn't look like this is a joke. All right, the storyline was great, the 7 growing suspicious of how calm it was, and slowly all of them disappearing. The event leading up to it was spectacular. The battle pass is one of the best I've seen. The reality tree corrupting POIs over the season was really good. They added the 2 best POIs in history. The Rave Cave and Butter Barn actually got a name. Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that one there. The loot pool was amazing, the best one at Chapter 3. We had the sidearm and revolver pistols, nice drop-off weapons. The auto striker pump and 2-shot shotgun were nice options. You could choose between power, fire rate, or double shot. You make a convincing argument. The Stinger and Combat SMG being the staples of all Chapter 3 loot pools. The Ranger, Striker Burst, and Hammer AR were great, with Ranger being the worst out of the 3. It can still be a force to be reckoned with. The last thing of great note was the Grapple Glove, a perfect way to make a version of a collab mythic into a normal utility item in the loot pool. And of course, we had the start of the horrible trend of DMRs ever seen, but it only bumps it down a few points. The super styles were great, the silver, blue, and gold styles were so good, the reality biome was cool, there were 4 different biomes, something that Chapter 2 needed to work on. Like I said, the POIs were fantastic, reality falls, new greasy, shuffled shrines. I will say shuffled shrines was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Rave Cave, Butter Barn, Lazy Lagoon's return, Logjam Lotus, and the already existing ones in the overall vibes were immaculate. Although the next season was interesting to say the least, Vibin will always have a place in my heart. Wow. I'm not going to lie to you. I love every single season of Fortnite, and I found fun in Chapter 3 Season 3. I really did. I'm not saying I disliked it, but when comparing it to all the seasons, it's actually my least favorite. But I will say, you make a very compelling argument here. There was a lot of good now that I'm looking back on it. Very, very interesting. Let's keep going. Season 9 of Chapter 1. I thought the Battle Pass was okay, but I didn't really care because I've only bought a few Battle Passes and generally don't care for cosmetics too much. There were futuristic locations which I loved, enjoyed the slipstreams, loved 14 Days of Summer, and there was a World Cup, Fortnite's biggest event ever. A strong meta apart from the combat shotgun, and best of all, the final showdown event on my 16th birthday. I would do so much to experience that entire season again and that whole period of my life. 2019 was the peak of my life before the, began ruining me. Well, Jack, life's coming ahead of you. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. You are going to have another year that is better than 2019. But yeah, honestly, I have been saying, well, at the time I didn't like Chapter 1 Season 9. It was objectively a good season. The reason I didn't like it was because of the slipstreams and I was bad. But if this were to come out today, it would have been perfect. It would have been a great season. In my opinion, the best season ever was Season X. It had constant mapped updates with rift zones that completely changed the flow of the game, giving each zone unique and different mechanics, making players have to adapt if they wanted to survive, much to the disappointment of the competitive community who didn't want to adapt to anything and would glaring play Fortnite if the only 3 weapons were Scar, Pump, and Bolt Action Sniper. The mechs were a fun addition that required skill and pre-planning to take down. Might have been a little OP on launch, but during the later end of the season, they were fine. This, nor people need to talk about. That's exactly accurate. The Battle Pass, in my opinion, is the best Battle Pass we've ever had, with each skin being a massive upgrade from the skins they were based off of. The Battle Pass page progression system was the best by far. Totally agree with that. Best ever. The storyline was at its peak during Chapter 1, and at this time, the season introduced a lot of the storyline plots and theories, some of which are still being talked about to this day. A lot of POIs introduced mechanics which would later be seen down the line, and much more explained on Zero Build with Tilted Town. Hands down the best live event of all time in terms of overall hype, mystery, and viewership. Constant LTMs that rotated in and out of the game. Fun and unique items added every week like airstrikes, rift zones, etc. Everyone could get Scientist the Chunky Boy for free. The release of the Good Paradigm skin, we don't talk about the other one. Starry Suburbs, also, and Gotham and Borderlands collab. I gotta say, guys, I'm a Season X enjoyer. This was perfectly said. This was perfectly said. Season X was one of the greatest seasons in Fortnite history. I like, you're making me like it more than Chapter 2 Season 7 right now, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think it's happening, but it's true. Objectively, Season X was one of the greatest seasons of all time. Second best in my opinion. Hey, we got another one. My personal favorite would be Chapter 1 Season X. It may be a hot take, but I think everyone in the season was with good thought. You had a battle pass of beloved characters altered, which people loved. The map constantly changed with POIs every 5 to 6 days, like Tilted Town, with some really cool twists that made the game feel really different and let you think about where you dropped and how you would spend that time. You couldn't build in Tilted Town, so you need to analyze how many people landed there and be smarter of your movement. There were also a lot of weapons and funny items over Season X, if I'm correct, around 23 weapons and items, all changing the game with wacky ideas. Things like the mechs were put in game to make it harder, and you need to be more strategic with mechs around, and I loved that. The lore was insane, we knew it was happening but didn't at the same time, and that's how I loved things like lore. It's so open for theory. The event was great too, no one knew what would happen next, so you got some funny clips with kids smashing TVs. Hey, that's an underrated topic, man. That's an underrated thing that nobody talks about. But honestly, again, Chapter 1 Season X, perfect season. My favorite season of Fortnite without a doubt is Chapter 1 Season 6. And why? Because first of all, it was the first day of the season I was at Disneyland Paris, which totally added to the experience. I watched all the streamers play and it was epic with the battle pass. It was really beautiful in the whole atmosphere, especially the flying island started moving on that day. The first out of nowhere, and it was hype and it was sky high. Very true. Very true. I will say, in my opinion at least, Chapter 1 Season 6 was on the weaker side of the Chapter 1 seasons, but it had so much to enjoy throughout the entire thing. I'm honestly not sure, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be Chapter 2 Season 7. The loot pool was fun, and for some reason, I loved the Gravitron. For some reason, it was the greatest weapon in Fortnite history. The story was compelling and exciting. Operation Skyfire was the best event in my opinion. I also really loved Corny Complex because it reminded me of Frenzy Farms, but a lot more action-packed and interesting. It felt a way that I really liked just seeing the mothership in the sky. It was just so ominous. Like you say in your videos, the mothership minigame is a great thing, and I hope they do more like that in the future, and seeing the cubes at the end event just hyped me so much for the next season. There is so much more we can talk about regarding Chapter 2 Season 7, but this is some of the best. Corny Complex, one of the best POIs ever. I love Chapter 2 Season 7. Close call, but it's better than Season X in my opinion. I agree with this statement. I'm not good at choosing, but I think mine is Chapter 2 Season 1. I really like the fresh new start. The battle pass was a 10 out of 10. It had a great loot pool, and the map. The map was really good. I had the full map unlocked in one day, and there was not one POI I disliked. It's more nostalgic to me than the full Chapter 1, to be honest. It's the only season I went into without any spoilers, which totally added to the experience. How the heck did you manage that, by the way? The story about the alter egos is really interesting too. I used to run Cameo vs. Chick all the time. It was my favorite skin ever before Cuff was released. Too bad I lost that account. Ooh, no. But all the memories of dropping it with my friends on a whole new map after the Black Hole event was also insane. It holds too much memories for me to tell them all. I relate to this. I kind of feel the same way, although I don't know. I wasn't spoiled either. Yeah, no, I believe I avoided the spoilers. Yeah. Chapter 2 Season 1 was great. Got a little boring at the end of it, in my opinion, just with the lack of changes, but especially the start of it, Winterfest carried it. It was a great season, man. It holds a lot of nostalgia for me as well. I wholeheartedly can relate to you in this sense. My favorite season is definitely Chapter 1 Season 9. The battle pass was okay for the most part, and the loot pool was fun. I really liked the combat shotgun and the burst SMG. That was one of the best weapons ever. There were fun items in that season, or fun LTMs, excuse me, in that season like Flora's Lava. The John Wick collab was amazing, even though I personally don't like John Wick. The slipstreams were great for mobility, and I think the drift boards were added in that season, which were fun to use. The 14 Days of Summer were the best holiday event we've ever had, in my opinion, and also the final showdown event and its hype was peak. Plus that season was the season I've started playing Fortnite. The World Cup was great, and the POIs, Neo and Mega Mall, were some of the best POIs in my opinion. I find it funny how we all have that like special place in our heart for the first season that we start playing. But honestly, again, like I said, man, like we've talked about, Chapter 1 Season 9 is objectively one of the greater seasons in Fortnite. Chapter 2 Season 3, because it completely changed the map and the gameplay. I will never forget the times when the map was filled with water. Also, the battle pass was amazing that season with so many unique skins like Fade, Jewels, Kit, and Eternal Night, and cars were added that season, which is a really crazy change that affects us to this day. Very short, very compact. I completely agree with it. Chapter 2 Season 3, one of the most underrated seasons of all time. One of the most underrated maps of all time. Chapter 2 Season 3 again, eh? There we go. The flooded map was fun to play, including the fact that it was a mixture of the flood, and Chapter 2 Season 2 made it perfect. I know not many people love the flooded map nor the loot pool, but it was amazing. I loved them both. The biomes were slightly snow, grass, swamp, water. The POIs were amazing. You didn't like Catty Corner. You didn't like Catty Corner? That was one of the best POIs of the season. The Authority dropping the drum gun, Fortilla with the burst, and I don't like Catty but love the charge. The loot pool was balanced, and I hit insane trick shots with the hunting rifle. Wish I could return. Then we reached the fact that it smoothly transitioned to Season 4. Very true. It was a short season. It was perfect updates all the time. There was so much to do in Chapter Season 3. So much fun to be had. And honestly, you could go back with mobile. I think at this moment, I would have to say Chapter 1 Season 9. Really interesting, all the people choosing Season 9. I've always loved futuristic vibes in media. For example, Mega City is my favorite POI this chapter by some distance. So as you can imagine, Season 9 was up my alley. The summer event this season was also insanely fun, with so many LTMs that I wish I'd bring back, as well as the John Wick collab and mode, which was just pure fun, and in my opinion, far clears a similar Mandalorian mode, which would later come on. The skins from this chapter were also brilliant. Specifically, item shop skins they released were so good, and quite a few of them are some of my favorite skins to this day. I don't know which one Suki is. Oh, yes. There, Suki, Mika, and Shadow Scully perhaps being in my top 20 skins of all time, with Suki really likely in the top 5. The loot pool was extremely fun, with the combat was extremely OP back then, but it was still fun to use. I remember sniping people out of the air with it. That was really fun. And everything else just fit with each other. The map was great, with Tilted and Retail being improved upon. People aren't ready to have that conversation. I agree. And the snow, desert, and jungle biome remaining, all of which I liked a lot, especially around the snow and jungle. The end of season event was so good with the mech vs monster fight. I have to say, I just missed building to a high point and watching the events play out. Obviously, I prefer the new style playing, though the events I do have a soft spot for the old style, if you will. I don't know if I agree with that one, but I understand. Finally, the World Cup happened this season, which was of course, and this was absolute vibes, especially for me who was getting really into competitive at the time. No FNCS final or invitational will be able to match the pure vibes of this tournament. It was incredibly fun to watch, and I still rewatch parts of it relatively often to this day. I absolutely loved that tournament, and most other people did too. This, again, was incredibly well said. Totally understand why you love it. It was a great season. You guys are really making me really like Chapter 1 Season 9 now. I would probably have to say Chapter 2 Season 4. It was an amazing season with so many awesome mythics, weapons, and so on. I love the map with Stark Industries and smaller islands of Marvel content. Also, Fortnitemares this season was probably the best we've had so far. Shadow Minus and the whole Hunter thing really spiced things up. Although it should be an LTM, I also missed the hype surrounding the event, which was great as well. It would have been better if our choices actually meant something, but it was still a great season overall. I always say, Chapter 2 Season 4 had one of the best gameplay experiences in the entirety of Fortnite, and when it comes to like just gunplay, mythics, and the seasons and all that, like when you're actually on the map playing the game. Regardless, storyline, everything else that you mentioned, it was a fantastic season. I can't believe they made a collab season that great. It's extremely close between many seasons. To be honest, that's kind of how I feel. But I'm going with Season 9. I'm a massive fan of anything futuristic, and once I saw Neo Tilted and Mega Mall in game, I was blown away. On top of that, the summer event that season is the best we've ever had, with a new unvault and new skin every single day. We also had Horde Rush and Wix Bounty, which were great LTMs, and the World Cup was a monumental event in Fortnite history. We've talked about it. We've mentioned Season 9 a bunch of times. This, as always, it's just completely true. You guys are really making me change my mind on Season 9, man. To be honest, it's Chapter 2 Season 4. The skins were fantastic. The map changes were great, especially the upstate New York. I miss it so much. And honestly, the best Fortnitemares ever, because it was very creative and different from any other Fortnitemares that we've had. Not to mention the season had around 14 mythics, and that's insane. How could someone not enjoy the season? Also, the loot pool was cool. It wasn't the best loot pool, but definitely not the worst. The season also had very fun Marvel LTMs that were in the game all season, and to top it all off, the season ended with one of my all-time favorite events. In the beginning, when Galactus was hovering over the ship, I was actually getting a bit scared, and when we was controlling the battle bus, it was so hype. Last thing to mention is that all of this happened during quarantine, so everyone was online, and it was just so much fun. Again, guys, I apologize that I'm not adding much to this, but you guys are putting this perfectly. You guys are saying what you love about all these seasons, and I agree. I love the same things. It was awesome. I might be a bit biased because it's brand new, but I think this season, it's everything we loved about OG Fortnite mixed into this one. The new mechanics, sprinting and sliding, being mixed with the best map and loot pools we've ever had is really making up to be one of the best gaming experiences ever. It's still early, but I can see myself loving this season the most when it is over. It's gonna be interesting once the season is over, how it like really matches up to everybody else's favorite seasons. To be honest with you, it's up there. I'm enjoying this a little bit more than some seasons. I'd have to really think about that one. It has to be Chapter 2, Season 2. The map changes actually added on top of existing map with amazing 5 locations, with the agency being my all-time favorite location, followed by the grotto at second place. The yacht and shark and rig were all amazing POIs too. It introduced the mythic vault henchman boss mythics. We got choppas, the Kingsman umbrella, and crash pads, all of them being super fun. The Kingsman's something people don't talk about too much, which I completely agree with. On top of that, we got 2 outstanding live events, with the device being my second favorite ever, and Travis still remaining as the best concert we've had in game. The battle pass was also one of the best. Highlights were definitely Meowskulls, Midas, and Deadpool. The story build-up was done especially well with Midas's room. The red tubes in the lobby and the battle pass screens, the hatches at the agency, and the storm circles being funky. And then at the end, we got a huge water storm, which was so fun to mess around with. All in a perfect season, 10 out of 10. Yeah, Chapter 2 Season 2's gotta be like in 3rd place, by the way. Like, I'm thinking like Chapter 1 Season 7, Chapter 1 Season X, or Chapter 2 Season 7, excuse me, Chapter 1 Season X, then Chapter 2 Season 2. Like, everything you said, man. That season had everything. That might objectively be the best season. That or Season X, honestly. So good, man. So good. But with that being said, guys, that is all of the replies that I have for you today. We had a lot of replies, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you making this video with me. Thank you for helping make these videos great. If you are new here, join the Discord. We already have the next reply room question in there. We would love to see you. Plus, we're going to have a reply room for other channels, so look out for that in the Discord server, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And it seems like, from everything, am I wrong? Chapter 1 Season 9 was probably the best season. Let me know what yours was in the comments down below. If you agree with Chapter 1 Season 9, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you for watching, everybody, on the screen right now. If you'd like to continue watching the Clen channel, there'll be 3 videos. The one closest to me, YouTube thinks you like the best. The one at the top is the rising difficulties of living and dating as a gamer. And the one at the bottom is the complete guide to fixing Fortnite, guys. I would love to see you in any one of those videos. I will see you there. Take care.